Good morning, and welcome to this special chapel service, one that will become a new annual tradition at the Hill School. This morning, we have the honor of presenting Gordon Bonnyman, Hill Class of 1965, and our first recipient of the Whatsoever Things Are True Award. This award derives its name from the school's motto, and it's presented to an alum of the Hill School who has positively impacted the world by standing up for what is true, no matter how difficult the circumstances. This award reflects the values of honor, service, and leadership that were cultivated during their time as students and were carried forth into their life beyond Hill. This award is the highest honor bestowed upon an alum of the Hill School, and we are delighted to have Gordon and his wife Claudia with us on this special occasion. As the Hill School Alumni Association and its executive committee have conferred this award upon Mr. Bonnyman, I invite Wallace Gundy, Hill Class of 04 and President of the Hill Alumni Association, and Bragdon, Hill Class of 1970 and member of the Alumni Association Executive Committee, to the dais to introduce Mr. Bonnyman and present him with the Whatsoever Things Are True Award. After the presentation of the award, Mr. Bonnyman will share his chapel talk with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Devaney, for your introduction and for welcoming so many of us alumni home to the Hill today. I'm Wallace Gundy. I'm a member of the class of 2004, and I'm proud to serve as the president of the Hill School Alumni Association. Rick Bragdon, Hill Class of 1970, and a fellow member of the Alumni Association Executive Committee, and I are honored to be here today to introduce fellow alumnus Gordon Bonnyman from the class of 1965, the first recipient of the Whatsoever Things Are True Award. Mrs. Devaney just shared with you the nature and criteria of the award, and Rick and I can attest that Mr. Bonnyman is exceptionally deserving. Mr. Bonnyman is an accomplished advocate for social justice, dedicating his career to fighting for the rights of individuals who cannot do so themselves and need help. He co-founded the Tennessee Justice Center, which is a nonprofit law firm whose mission is to fight for the rights of underprivileged communities by helping gain access to health care and addressing systemic inequalities. Mr. Bonnyman has spent his career standing up for what he believes is right, even difficult. He's been a leader, especially when faced with adversity, and he's been a helper, even when challenged. These are all things instilled in us as students at the Hill School. Mr. Bonnyman has done purposeful good and has made our world a better place. When Mr. Bonnyman was a Hill student, he was a prefect, he played soccer, and he was chairman of the press club and board member of the Hill Christian Association. After graduating from the Hill, he attended Princeton University and was a member of the class of 69, and later attended the University of Tennessee, where he earned a law degree. Mr. Bonnyman currently lives in Nashville with his wife, Claudia, who we're fortunate to have joining us alongside several classmates of the class of 65 today. On behalf of the Hill School Alumni Association, I want to thank Mr. Bonnyman for the incredible example of living out our motto of whatsoever things are true far beyond his years on campus. How proud Rick and I are, as well as the entirety of the Executive Committee and the Alumni Association, to share our ties, our Hill ties, with you. We now welcome Mr. Bonnyman to accept this medal from Mr. Bragdon and offer a chapel talk to the Hill community.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction, Wallace, and thank you, Rick, and to the Alumni Council for this great award. I'm humbled to receive the award and gratefully accept it with the important reservation that anything any of us ever accomplishes in this world depends heavily on the contributions of so many others. In my case, those contributions include the faculty and friends that helped me during the 3 years that I was here, my parents who made it possible for me to attend Hill, and from Claudia, my beloved wife and partner of 54 years. Grateful to have this chance to acknowledge my debt to them and to this institution. The school's motto, taken from St. Paul's letter to the Philippians, calls upon us to respect the truth. So I first have to own up to a painful truth, which is that I was miserable at the Hill School. I'm happy for the many students who enjoy the Hill and feel at home, but I felt like an outsider. I was the absolute opposite of cool. In hindsight, I realized that I would have been miserable during those years, regardless of where I was. If we're lucky, we have others who help us through those hard times. At the Hill, I was fortunate to have a teacher whose kindness and concern went far beyond the call of duty, and to have a classmate who befriended me and whose family's generous hospitality lessened my homesickness. The crucial transition from childhood through youth to adulthood is inherently difficult, and some of us have a more difficult time at it than others. How common my feelings were after I met Claudia. She was popular, excelled academically, and was the homecoming queen at her small town's only high school. But she too felt lonely and didn't feel like she fit in until she had put high school behind her. So to anyone here who has those feelings, please know that you are not alone. That doesn't change the fact, of course, that you are still the only person to be the author of your story. And you have to find your own coping mechanisms. In my case, I used a small calendar as an aid. At lunch every day, I would mark diagonally through the day's date. At night, I would mark through the date diagonally the other direction, slowly crossing off the days until I could leave. It wasn't brilliant, but it says something about how unhappy I was and about learning to get through a difficult time. I mention this not to dwell on the negative, but because I want anyone who is struggling to know that first, I understand what you're going through and respect you pushing on. Second, this phase of your life is time limited and you will get hurt. Perhaps most importantly, being unhappy is neither the measure of your success here nor a predictor of your future success. Ruth Simmons grew up in a poor sharecropper's home, had to contend with the brutality of Jim Crow racism, yet became a nationally respected educator and president of Brown University. She reminds us that the purpose of education is far more ambitious than winning grades or gaining admission to a prestigious college. The purpose of an education is nothing less than to help you become the best person you can be. An important aspect of your education is learning how to deal with adversity and how to use the experience of pain and loss to help you to better weather those things when they inevitably recur throughout your life. If you're unhappy now, know that what you are going through is the emotional equivalent of conditioning to compete in a sport, and that you are gaining resilience and fortitude that will benefit you the rest of your life. School, of course, is much more than resilience and fortitude. In my we had to turn in a new essay every Saturday. And my grew through as the weekly deadline approached. Only recently did it dawn on me that my teachers must have also equal as they anticipated having to review and give thoughtful feedback to yet another lousy essay from that Bonnyman kid. Those weekly exercises, painful as they were for me and my teachers alike, taught me how to write. The Hill excels in teaching us how to write, at least until AI completely colonizes our brains. That is an invaluable skill, no matter what you choose to do with your life. You are the age when good writers learn to write. Teaching us how to write is part of the Hill's larger project of teaching us how to think critically, perhaps the most vital life skill of all. The Hill also exposes us to people and experiences that enrich our lives. In my case, that included participating in weekend Quaker work camps in South Philadelphia, experiences that altered the course of my life and profoundly affected my view of the world. All of which is to say that even if the experience here is not always a bed of roses, know that every day, even a day that you're painfully eager to mark off the calendar, has purpose and is helping you become a better, more mature version of yourself. I'd realized that when I was your age. The other thing I wish I'd understood then is that it's not over till it's over. When I was your age, failures and disappointments seemed to have a finality that did not really exist. With luck, you have a long life ahead of you, with many opportunities to correct mistakes and recover from losses. Things that preoccupy you now, such as which college you will attend or whether you will make the team, will have relatively minor impact on the rest of your life or what you will be doing a few years from now. Some defeats or losses are irreversible, but most are not. It's not over till it's over. As a lawyer, I've learned that if you win all of your cases, it means that you aren't taking on the challenging cases of those clients who most need your help. I have lost many times, including, quite dramatically, on my very first day in court as a new lawyer. I was in court that day to try to stop an eviction. Other lawyers who knew the judge well and appeared all the time on behalf of landlords and loan companies were chatting casually in front of the courtroom as the clerk made announcements. I sat with my client in the back of the courtroom where defendants sat, most of whom were poor and without lawyers. I was whispering with my client about her case when the judge became aware that someone out in the gallery was talking. He did not realize I was a lawyer, and he ordered me expelled. To the horror of my poor client and the two law students who were shadowing me, a couple of burly court officers came back to where I was sitting, grabbed me under the arms, dragged me backwards out of the courtroom, and deposited me in a heap on the floor. That was the ignominious beginning of my legal career. I would note that the experience fit perfectly the definition of type 2 fun. In case you don't know, there are two types of fun. Type 1 fun is the kind that is enjoyable at the time but easily forgotten. Type 2 fun is no fun at all while it's happening, but it makes for a great story later. So my very first effort as a lawyer was definitely type 2 fun, because I have yet to meet anyone who has a better story to tell about his or first day on the job. What's more, if you start your career like that, there's no way to go except up. Most importantly, the experience taught me a valuable lesson about how intimidating, unfair, and humiliating the courtroom experience can be for those who lack attorneys and have to fend for themselves. Prompted by that decades-old memory, my organization launched a project a few years ago to improve the experience of unrepresented defendants in the courts that handle evictions and debt collection. We're making slow progress. It's not over till it's over. In the only case I ever argued before the U.S. Supreme Court, my clients lost in a unanimous decision. The opinion was written by my hero, Justice Thurgood Marshall, which made the loss all more devastating. But Justice Marshall crafted the opinion in a way that established important principles involving the civil rights of people with disabilities, and the ruling had a significant positive influence on the adoption of the Americans with Disabilities Act a few years later. It's not over till it's over. 60 years ago, I sat in this chapel grappling with the same existential questions that confront everyone as we grow into adulthood and that we contend with for the rest of our lives. Why is there evil in the world? Why does death take those we love? Why is there so much suffering? I still grapple with those questions. And I'm still like a dog watching television. I know there's something going on, but a lot of it is way over my head. And yet, I have managed to learn two essential truths that have served as lifelines in navigating this life. The most important is that life really is all about love. The other truth is that life in this beautiful and amazing world is a precious gift. My great fortune is to have had a career that has given me a wonderful life while constantly confirming the power of love. The work of justice is sometimes perceived as selfless or altruistic, but for me it has been profoundly self-interested. The theologian Cornel West has said, "Justice is what love looks like in public, just like tenderness is what love looks like in private." Working for justice has given me the chance to work with friends whom I've loved, knowing that they shared my values and had my back. For half a century, it has been a gift to stand with inspiring clients who have taken up for others at great cost to themselves. In some cases, I've even been witness to miracles. The late theologian William Sloane Coffin, who incidentally was one of the amazing, influential people who I first met when he came to the Hill to speak, observed that the world doesn't lack for miracles, only our ability to recognize them. By miracles, he didn't mean magical party tricks. He meant recognizing the transcendent and the ordinary, where love triumphs over all odds. Here are just a couple of examples of the many miracles I've witnessed in my work. I was present during a prison riot when my client, Ray Thompson, a convict with a life sentence, put his own life on the line to save several guards who were hostages, thereby averting what was about to become a bloodbath. Another client, Kathy Horvath, lost her 8-year-old son, Scotty, when an insurance company that contracts with our state refused to cover a necessary piece of medical equipment. Kathy drove 5 hours through the night from her home in the Great Smoky Mountains to testify in federal court about the need to protect other children from such bureaucratic indifference. Miraculously, she summoned the courage to relive that terrible experience as she described her last hours with Scotty. She willed herself to maintain her composure as others in the courtroom, the court staff included, quietly wept. Kathy's sacrifice and the selflessness of other bereaved parents won legal protections that have benefited literally hundreds of thousands of other children. Even in the absence of such miracles, and when I lose, my affords me the privilege of being part of our beloved nation's ongoing effort to make good on our promise of liberty and justice for all. What an honor. I could not be more grateful for the life full of joy, love, and purpose, and I'm so grateful to the Hill School for helping me prepare for that life. For all of its challenges, the life before you is brimful of promise, and I'm so excited for you. I wish you all Godspeed.